Hello everyone, my name is Bradley Sward, and I have three questions for you today. Number one, are you ready? Number two, are you prepared? And number three, are you excited for the Advent of Code 2023 competition starting up right in about an hour and a half from now? And as you can maybe tell, I'm excited. This is one of my favorite times of the year, especially from a professional standpoint. And I want to get you ready for it. So file processing is a big part of what we do in this competition for those of you who are brand new to this. Every day we're going to be getting a file of data. We need to process that data and get it into our program in a manner which we can use. And then from there, we even need to solve the problem. And so every day, obviously, the data set is going to be slightly different or largely different depending on the day. And so we need to be ready. We can't prepare ahead of time because we don't know what's coming, but we can basically have a little cheat sheet ahead of us so we don't have to type out the same code day by day by day and save us some time and some places on the leaderboard. So let me show you the code I write, and I would love to hear anybody how to make this better. Python, as you can maybe tell, is not my first language. And so I'm just every year I try to learn a little bit more here. And if you know a better way, I'm always appreciative, and I can always use that to teach my students down the road in the future. So let's take a look at what I've got. Okay, so here is a reminder, here's a refresher of what happens in the Advent of Code. Here's the 2022 day one problem. So they give you a problem and a data set and rules for the problem, and they just expect you to go nuts on it. But it's always a file. So in this case, here is just pretend this is the small file that's going on. And in this case, you're basically summing up numbers till you hit an empty line. And then in this case, you're trying to figure out which of these elves using this information has the largest sum. So in this case, it would be this guy right here because it's 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. That's 24,000, and that matches up with what you see here. But again, processing the file is just one part of the problem. And so I'm going to show you some code here right now that is a general use case. And then once you have an understanding, then you can go ahead and go nuts on what you see. So here is the code for this. And so basically for part 0 here, which you can kind of see here, right here, part 0 here, basically it's a list of lists. I'm setting up an empty list, and every line in that file, the new line character is stripped off, then it's split by spaces. And in this case, it's only one element per line, so it makes sense that you would see 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, then an empty line, then 4, space, 5, 6, 7, all that as we were expecting. Here's my data set here. I added an extra line at the end just to make sure everything works out. I think I have to do that every time. I know you guys get on me every year for doing that because I'm manipulating the file, but I'm okay with that as long as I get to an answer because it's just meant to be a fun problem, and I can always go back and make it more efficient and better and please all of you later on. But anyway, coming back. So basically that is how day 0 works, and I would expect you guys to have something like this to get started. And then for part 1, we're like, what do I do with this? You can see how I've basically reduced this down into a series of this list into a, every elf gets its own number, and then the 24,000 kind of comes to the front. So this is the manipulation of that for part 1 here, where it says now, okay, same thing where I'm having a data set, which is a list, but every element is the sum of each individual one. And basically when I see a new line character or an empty line, then I put the total into the list. Otherwise I carry on. And so you can see how it's a manipulation of the same idea. Here's the read lines line from up above. Here is the open, and then basically just, processing just is handled a different way than just blindly and not doing anything with the data. I'm just kind of working it through and working it through. So you can see the answer matches up, the 24,000 matches up. And just to say for part 2 here, because I don't need to go back and explain it, basically it was asking you to find the top 3 instead of just the top 1 elf. So in this case, you can see it's just a couple lines of code where I take the data, sort it out, because I processed it as a list, I just have to sort it high to low, which means I have to reverse it, and then basically I just have to steal the top 3 elements. And if I were doing this in a better fashion, I would make sure there were at least 3 elements to go off of, because this just presumes as such. But I get the right answer. I get the 45,000. Oh, I didn't print it. Thought I had something to print it out. The answer to part 2 is, let me just run it. I don't know why it's not showing it. But there, oh, there it is. There's my 45,000, which was the expected answer. So again, that wasn't, basically I didn't intend for this to become like a how to solve a specific problem. But again, at the end of the day, this is the important part that's starting up in 58 minutes in my world, where you have something to go off of, and then now you can go nuts and solve the problem at hand. So as always, I would love to hear your comments on this. Please comment below. Good, bad, or indifferent, as long as it's about the Python and not about me in general. Anyway, just having fun with that. But I am so excited for this. I hope you are too. I hope to have an answer soon for part 1 and start the month off strongly. So have a great day, everybody. Have a great time. Talk to you later. Have a good one. Take care.